Here we go.
Mine's all gone.
Mine's growing back. I shaved all mine off 3 months ago.
Brilliant. Okay then. So poets amongst you, Betty and Nicola, see if you can guess who this poem is by. It's an ABC, an animal alphabet. And I might get all the way through it, or I might just go for the first half. Let's see. Here we go. And you can hear me okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
We're all okay. Okay, here we go. A, an absolutely abstemious ass who resided in a barrel and only lived on soda water and pickled cucumbers. B, the bountiful beetle who always carried a green umbrella when it didn't rain and left it at home when it did. Any ideas yet, Betty? C,
No.
the comfortable, confidential cow who sate in her red Morocco armchair and toasted her own bread at the parlour fire. D, the Dolomphius duck who caught spotted frogs for her dinner with a runcible spoon. John's getting...
I suspected already.
Yeah. I looked in the dictionary for runcible yesterday. Yeah. Nicola, can you tell us what it is?
Isn't it a spoon that was given as a gift for a wedding?
I think, yes, I think...
Something like that.
Yeah, I think it might be. My dictionary said a runcible spoon is... I pictured it as actually one of those, you know, those sort of like salad servers when you have like a spoon and a fork type of thing. You know what I mean? You pick up the salad. I think the runcible spoon is actually the sort of the fork version, because it said it had three. A runcible spoon has 3 prongs.
Didn't Lewis Carroll invent the word?
Well, I always thought that, and I thought it was a completely made-up word. But I don't know.
It's nothing to do with the Archbishop of Canterbury. Runcie, whatever his name.
Okay.
Runcie.
So E, what animal do you think we're going to meet with the letter E? Which animal?
Elephant.
It's bound to be an elephant.
The enthusiastic elephant who ferried himself across the water with the kitchen poker and a new pair of earrings. F, the physigious fish who always walked upon stilts because he had no legs. G, the good-natured grey gull who carried the old owl and his crimson carpet bag across the river because he could not swim. H, the hasty, higgledy-piggledy hen who went to market in a blue bonnet and shawl and bought a fish for supper. I, the inventive Indian who caught a remarkable rabbit in a stupendous silver spoon. J, the judicious, jubilant Jay who did up her black hair every morning with a wreath of roses, 3 feathers and a gold pin. K, the kicking kangaroo who wore a pale pink muslin dress with blue spots. Shall I stop there? Who would like to guess who this poem is by?
No idea.
Was that Betty?
No, I just said no idea. What did you say?
Oh, no idea. What did you say? I asked first. So Betty's not quite sure. John?
It's Lewis Carroll, isn't it?
You think Lewis Carroll? It's not Lewis Carroll. And I think this cheeky chap has used his runcible word.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Any ideas? Anybody else?
Is it Edward Lear?
Yes!
No.
Edward Lear. Well done,
Good
Nicola.
guess.
Fantastic. Good guess. Do you know any others by Edward Lear?
Yes,
No, off the top of my head, I'm just having a Google.
It's one of those difficult ones, isn't it? I've got a few here. Oh, no. It isn't actually. But Edward Lear, he was into lots of nonsense rhymes and lyrics.
He
And
was, yes.
The Owl and the Pussycat.
oh,
Went to sea
oh,
in a beautiful pea green boat. The
Carry on,
captain
Betty.
had plenty of money wrapped up in a £5 note. And the owl looked up to the stars above and sang to a small guitar. Oh, beautiful pussy, oh, pussy, my love, what a beautiful pussy you are, what a beautiful pussy you are. And forgotten the next line.
ah,
But he said to, something, are you willing to sell for, oh, and then they see a pig, don't they?
that's right.
With a ring through the end of its nose.
With a ring through the end of its nose. And they said, Pussy said to the pig, are you willing to sell for a shilling your ring? Said the piggy, I will. So they took it away and were married next day by the parson who lives on the hill. The parson who lives on the hill. And
Yes, that's
I
right.
can't remember the next line. And
Very good, Betty.
We're all impressed so far.
Amazing.
Yes, very impressive.
Lovely. When was the last time you spoke that poem out loud, Betty?
I don't know, probably with my grandchildren. I don't know.
Ah,
But I know I knew it for a long time with my children and grandchildren.
yes.
And myself. So,
I love it when those pockets of memory just
expand.
yeah, just open. And my mum was a wonderful one for reciting poetry, dancing around the house, singing songs. And when I was young, I was so embarrassed by it. But oh, what I would give for having that all over again, it would be so wonderful. And I think I drive my wife mad because I pick up on the word and a sound and I just repeat it ad infinitum until she says, shut up.
But it's a parent's responsibility to embarrass their children.
Yeah.
True. That isn't the parents'
Yeah.
charter, isn't it, Tony?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely embarrass my daughter.
And then the
Who's
children
that?
do it back
Yeah, I
to
do
you
as
when you're
well.
older.
And it's a grandparent's job to spoil their grandchildren.
Yeah.
Someone said that, was it, when I was about 12, my parents were very, very stupid, but by the time I got to be about 20, they'd become quite intelligent.
Oh, lovely, lovely. So I thought I'd play you a little bit of music and read out just a little piece of Shakespeare from The Tempest. Does anybody know The Tempest? The
Not enough to know bits of it.
play?
Never got that far. Only got the 8 test.
Yeah. So there was an island, wasn't there, which the Prospero, the main character, he drew all these characters to the island, including, he was there with his daughter already, and other kings and princes and dukes came to the island. In a way, I think Prospero pulled them to the island so he could make more sense of his own life and his sort of extended life. And there's a character who was on the island that Prospero was living with, a sort of like an extension of himself, Ariel. Do you remember Ariel? A spirit.
Washing powder.
Yeah. What's that? Washing powder. Yeah.
Yes,
Trust him to bring it down when we're talking about culture.
Yes. There's
Nelly.
always one.
Yeah, Nelly, sort it out, will you? So Ariel was sort of Prospero's airy spirit self, and he had another character on the island called Caliban. Has anybody come across Caliban before?
But I can't remember what.
Go on holiday in them, don't you? Sorry.
It's okay. So Caliban is more of sort of the earth. If Ariel is the sky and the air, Caliban is the earth character. So I'm going to play a bit of music, read a bit of Shakespeare, and then I'm going to go seamlessly into a story about nature, because I think nature for me during this lockdown time has just been an absolute saviour. Being able to go for walks, listen to birds, see swans sitting on nests, seeing cygnets, you know, taking to the water on their first day. Nature for me has just been, yeah, an absolute godsend. So I'm going to tell you a story about nature straight after. So tell me if you can hear this music okay. What's the volume like? Can you hear that?
Hardly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Sort of tinkling bells.
yeah.
It's just background because I'm the main person, you know. Just a bit of
Oh,
background.
now can you hear it?
And this is what Caliban says: "Be not afeared. The isle is full of noises, sounds and sweet airs that give delight and hurt not. Sometimes 1,000 twangling instruments will hum about mine ears, and sometimes voices that, if I had then waked after long sleep, will make me sleep again. And then, in dreaming, the clouds methought would open and show riches ready to drop upon me, that when I waked, I cried to dream again." Once there was a lake, a huge body of blue water that reflected the colour of the sky, and there it lay for hundreds and hundreds of years. It gave sustenance, it gave food, it gave drink to the fish that lived within and the birds that flew in the sky. And after many years, people came to that water. People came to that water to drink, to sit by its banks, to dabble in the cool, refreshing waters, to paddle and to swim, or perhaps sit by its bank and just listen to the beauty of nature. And time went by. Fruit and nut and seed and berry and acorn and keys rustled in the breeze and blew in the wind, and these seeds were carried by birds there to the lakeside. And there they began to bury down into the dark earth, into the rich soil of the land. And with the help of the rain and the sun, they began to root and shoot and stem and grow. Saplings began to reach up to the sky, up to the yellow ball of light. And after years and decades, trees, wood, forest appeared all the way around the lake. A beautiful spot for human beings, a beautiful spot for the wildlife, both of the sky and the water and the land. But then, over time, people came to live nearby in villages, and the villages grew in number, and they began to swell into towns. And then the woods became darker. Because there in the woods and in the forests lurked men. Men who lived outside of the law. Brigands and bandits and criminals and thieves and robbers. And they hid in the shadows and they waited. And because The two towns were either side of the lake, either side of the wood. The people had to walk through the wood. And as they did so, the robbers would catch them and rob them and take everything from them and then push them into the lake. And the bodies would drift down to the bottom. But these men, they had no worries, they had no qualms, because they lived outside of the law. And there they lived in bivouacs, in tents, in benders, in little tiny dwellings, and they stayed there for many, many years, taking but never giving. But nature was there to give, not to take. But these men, they didn't understand. They had souls and hearts as hard as rock, as brittle as iron. And time passed. And then one night, as the captain was sleeping in his bed, one of the men came to him and said, "Captain, Captain, wake up! Come now! Quick, quick, quick!" "Why are you waking me?" said the captain. "Get away with you! Go on, move!" I was having a wonderful dream. And the captain turned over and tried to get back to sleep. "No, no, Captain, you've got to come here right now." And so the captain pulled on his boots and put on his coat, and he walked outside and he looked up to the sky, because everyone else was looking up to the sky. Every one of those criminals and robbers and thieves and brigands were looking up to the night sky, for there was a huge body of water hanging high. "What's going on?" said the captain. "It's the lake. It's the lake. It's up in the sky." "How can that be? It's not possible." "It is. Come on, come on, come on." So all the men stood still. They held the trees, they held one another, with the captain firmly fixed up. "Don't move," he said. "Don't move a muscle, otherwise we'll all be drowned." And the lake, it flew. And the lake, it drifted over the sky, further away from the forest. It came to the town, and the people looked up and saw it. And it wondered whether it should come down into the town. But there wasn't enough room with the buildings and the houses and the factories. And so it drifted on and on and on, until it came to another land, a land where the people looked after nature. And the lake looked down at the people and said, "Clear me a hole, and I will come down and live with you and join you." And so the men and the women and the boys and the girls, they started digging. They took their wheelbarrows and pulled all the soil away and made huge banks. And they dug all day, and they dug all week, taking all of the excess earth and soil away, until the water was ready to come down and fill the hole. Soon the water had filled the hole. Well, the people were pleased, and they came out and they walked all the way round the lake, and they held their hands, and they looked and they smiled and they laughed. The children threw off their shoes and they started to paddle. Perhaps you, or perhaps I, also threw off our shoes and began to paddle. And then the boys and the girls, they pushed one another and they began to swim out into the water. What a beautiful place to be. And the fish was still there. And the treasure was still there. Treasure from long ago. And they said that when the rain came down and dropped onto the lake, you could see silver coins skimming across. And if you were there at the right place at the right time and you put your hand out, you would find a silver coin in your hand. And the mums and the dads and the grandfathers and the grandmas would say to their children, silver coins are not all, for nature gives us riches that is incomparable. And so those children, they lived and they grew with the blessing of water. And because the water came, along came the animals, and the seeds and the acorns began to fertilize in the earth, and a new wood and a new forest grew up around that lake. And the people realized that when they looked after nature, nature would look after them. Thank you for listening. Has anybody heard that story before?
No.
Or anything similar? No?
It's very true, though.
Yes, in what way?
Yeah.
Well, if we look after nature, nature will look after us. Because if we take care of the things and the birds and animals that are around, we get pleasure out of them. So they'll look after us and feed us and different things.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And do you think it's quite a good way of putting that message across? That story itself?
Yeah, definitely.
So have any of you sort of been meeting other family members or spending time in the garden with nature, putting out bird seed or digging in the garden?
Been out in the garden a lot.
Yeah.
Listening to the birds.
Listening to the birds, listening to them and that. Don't feed them because we've got 2 very boundy dogs and 4 cats. So.
Yeah.
Won't be fair.
It's a real tricky time, isn't it? Because we've got 3 cats and we're in the countryside, and we love the cats, and you know, sort of the cats love us, especially when it's feeding time. But it's it's very worrying.
Never love anybody.
We had the most self-centered animals.
We used to have a cat. I mean, I don't think he as long as we looked after him, he was all right.
Yeah. Do you think that the love of a cat is conditional?
It's on their terms.
Yeah.
There's an old saying.
They're the boss. They're the boss.
Yeah.
There's an old saying. Dogs have masters. Cats have servants.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah.
Very true.
That is quite true, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. But you know, because we're out in the country, we get a lot of that sort of. Nicola's nodding her head. What does that mean?
I live in the country as well.
Oh yeah. What does that mean when you hear that sound then?
Oh well, I don't know what it means to you.
Oh, okay.
but it means to me. It sounded to me like the call of the mating tomcat.
Oh, okay.
The tomcat that comes to the back door looking for the female, and you hear that yowling. Oh,
okay. All right.
Yeah.
I must be out of practice with making cat noises. I wasn't intending that.
Only because we used to have a female cat, and we used to have a tomcat that used to come, and you'd hear it at night.
Well, we have got 1 tomcat and 2 Thomasina cats. I don't know. But yeah, when he's caught something about 3 o'clock in the morning, he goes right past the window of our bedroom and such a it goes right through.
Owls do that at stupid o'clock in the morning when they want feeding.
Oh, really?
They come in and nibble your ear.
Oh my goodness.
Do they? Oh
Yeah.
That's nice.
Come and nibble me ear and headbutt me on the chin.
Oh, are we talking about the cats now or Ange?
Yeah. No, both.
Cats. Definitely the cats.
Oh, great. Any other cat stories or dog stories or? Really?
We had a traveling cat.
Yes,
Go on.
we had a travelling cat which was born in Papua New Guinea and travelled with us to Africa and came here, where it, in fact, to Bristol, and where it died in Bristol.
Wow.
She travelled around.
And our children organised a funeral for it.
We had, but I remember once I had a cat, and a friend of ours came to visit, and he had we lived on a compound at the school in Zambia, in fact, and this dog was the king of the site, and the owner of the dog came to our house with his cat, and suddenly all hell broke loose, as the cat and the dog had a fight up and down our sitting room. At the end of the fight, the cat was sitting there completely unharmed, but the king dog, he had blood coming out of his nose. So there was no question about who'd won that fight.
Nasty.
Yeah, the cats are definitely the boss.
Yeah. I've just noticed.
Catastrophic, isn't it, really?
I've just been informed that we've got less than a minute to go, so it will just disappear at any moment. So it might be good time to say goodbye.
Can we say thank you now?
Thank you
For a
very
nice
much.
story, yeah?
Oh,
Yes, thank you.
Thanks
It's
so much
lovely.
for
Really good.
coming
On
along.
behalf of the group, Michael, can I thank you for running the session this afternoon?
Thank you.
Very kind of you to offer to do this, and so on behalf of all of us, thanks very much indeed.
It's a pleasure. Well, hope to see you back in the real world one day.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yes, and masks crossed as well.
Fingers, toes, everything.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, great.
And for
Well,
everybody